Exploring movement, exploring our body.
Deviation of center.
Inside edge of the foot.
Just crushing you from here.
Different angles.
Like, these kids don't want to be here.
Heel into roll.
Perception is the engine that drives our entire experience.
On today's episode of the Performance Explorer Project, I have the director of University of South Carolina women's basketball team, Molly Binetti. We explore the concepts of movement prep for athletes, providing constraints for athletes to move organically, repetition without repetition, and introducing competitiveness to drive engagement in the weight room. We also get into coaching and establishing and maintaining culture and a winning mindset of a multinational champion team in the University of South Carolina. Let's get into this episode. That culture in South Carolina is cool because you've talked about it a lot, just as our friendship, but also as I've heard you talk about it in presentations. I've heard you talk about it on podcasts. But when me and Carson went to the South Carolina game, and you invited us in to come work out with you guys, and just to be around it was cool. It's always cool as a coach to see other people coach and just to be coached. Like, I'm just there and I'm just, hey, what's next? And I'm just going along with that. I appreciate that. But it was really cool for one. Dawn Staley, for one, is a legend. But when I looked over and her and my daughter are sitting there like doing bicep curls, and I'm like, man, my daughter has no idea. Like, I mean, she knows who Dawn Staley is and she respects that, but like, that's such a cool moment. I'll never forget. They like racked and like Dawn looked at her and they like fist bumped and they walked away and she put her arm around her and like just walked down the path. And I'm just sitting there like, man, that's so damn cool.
So cool.
That's so cool. But how welcoming she was, how welcoming you were to everyone that was there, like people just dropping in. Like culture is one of those things that you can't identify it, but it's like, how can I say this? Culture, it's like you can't identify what culture is, but when I see it, I know it. When I see it, I'm like, oh, there it is. We're the people that go up and they're like, oh man, we got to improve our culture. We got to change our culture. I'm like, what does that mean? But then when you see it and you feel it and you hear it, you're like, oh, this is culture. Now I understand. It's like this palpable feeling that's like magnetic to everyone around. So being at South Carolina, honestly, one of my favorite things is at that NSCA presentation, you were talking about movement prep, and then obviously all the stuff you share with the girls of you doing. When you have new girls coming in, obviously with NIL, everything's changing. Girls are coming in yearly now. Maybe South Carolina does have retention of girls wanting to stay. How do you deal with that? Like newcomers coming in, like where do you start?
You got to have a conversation. Like, we talk about the people stuff, right? Like, you've got to meet them where they're at. Like, that's my job, is I've got to adapt what I'm doing to you and where you want to go. And I think obviously people come to South Carolina because they want to win and they want to win championships and they want to be a pro. I think that changes a little bit now when you add the NIL. It's not just about basketball anymore, but I would still say people are still coming to South Carolina because that's what they want, or that's what they say they want. But everybody's coming in with a little bit different story and a different experience in the weight room. And you can't just have them come in and have them adapt to what you want, right? I view my role as I'm a partner in this whole thing. Like, you've got a lot of different people in your ear and a lot of people trying to direct you. And so we're going to form a partnership, and it's your career. It's not my career. My career is helping you with your career, but it doesn't matter what I want for you. I want to know what you want. I also want to know what's our starting point here? Like, what are your perceptions about the weight room? Like, what are your reservations? What do you like? What do you not like? What do you absolutely hate to do? Like, what do you feel like helps you the most? And we're going to start there. What can I get you to do today? And everybody's different. If they absolutely hate, say, trap bar for existing, you don't ever have to touch a trap bar while you're here. If they really like whatever extra that, cool, we're going to put that in your program day one and we'll keep it there. Or you can do that at any point you want to. And so it's very much, we are lucky, we get retention. So I get 3 to 4 years with these guys. And so it's very much, I'm going to put you in a slow cooker and we're going to take this thing day by day, year by year, and we're going to adapt on the fly and we're going to make it work for you. So you walk into our weight room, you're going to see a lot of different things going on based on personal preference, what you look like doing it, how you feel doing it. I want to take you through an example of one of our warm-ups. Biggest thing for me is I like to gamify what we do. I like to make it fun. I want to make you think.
Okay.
I want to introduce you to a variety of different movements. So this is just a sample obstacle course. I want you to start here.
Okay.
You've got to go over the hurdle however you want to. under the next hurdle, however you want to. We're going to parkour over the boxes. So the first one, you got to touch both hands to get yourself over. Next one is one hand, 1 foot to get yourself over. And then finish, we've got a med ball. I need 6 reps, different style of throw or slam every time.
Each rep?
Each rep is different. No 2 reps are the same. So we're going over.
What's my speed with something like this? We just cruising?
We're cruising a little bit.
Okay.
Yep. However you want to get over, under, navigate yourself through at your pace. Try not to touch the hurdle. Oh, party foul. Party foul.
Reset.
Try to
Reset. And that's a faulty hurdle.
It might be.
So
Okay, goes to get under. However, yep. I love it. Okay. 2 hands. 1 hand, 1 foot. Beautiful. 6 reps. Throw or slam, however you want. No 2 reps are the same. Good. I want to make you think. I want to see what you come up with. Little creativity. Perfect. Perfect. We're going to go through again. Back from the top. You need to go over a different way.
Okay.
You need to go under and through a different way. This time, we're going 2 feet on top of the box here.
Okay.
Over the box without touching the second time. Different way. Under. Different variation. There you go. There you go. There you go. Get in touch with the no 2 feet on top. Up and down. No feet, no touch, no hands. Okay. 6 more, different than what you just did.
Oh shit.
You can throw it. You can slam it. Perfect. Good. Perfect.
So what is the point of all that?
Yeah. 1, breathing a little.
I am breathing a little heavy.
Blood flow is going a little bit.
Yeah.
1, I like the variability of movement. So for me, the biggest thing is I want our athletes to move in a variety of different ways. I want them to interact with the ground. I want them to solve problems. I want them to have to think about what they're doing. Because ultimately, like, sport is not played in a perfect way. They've got to move in a variety of ways. But this also gets them engaged, especially when they're all with each other and we're doing different movements. They're laughing at each other. They're coming up with crazy stuff. I just like to provide the guardrails and then let them sort of move and go. And so we use this as a way to start the session. 1, to get them moving. 1, to wake them up, get them engaged, sort of set the tone for the day. And usually when there's, a group of them or an entire team, they come up with some crazy stuff and you get them laughing. The more you can do that, starts your session off in a really positive way.
Yeah. I mean, just honestly, the second someone smiles or laughs, they're in.
Yeah.
And then obviously as a coach as well, the stuff that they come up with probably incites your creativity of being like, that's a good idea. Or maybe I can say, hey, wow, I didn't think you could get into your hips that way. That's a great idea. That's kind of novel. Maybe I can introduce that into actual programming.
Right. No, I think that's the biggest thing is, 1, they've come up with things that I would never have thought of. And I think back to a coach I learned, like Travis Knight at Gonzaga, he told me athletes can't show you what they can do until you stop telling them what to do. Sometimes when you just give them sort of the guardrails, like the things up at the bowling alley, right? And you just let them go, like, they come up with things that give me ideas, and also they surprise you. Like, you see these 6'5" athletes get under hurdles like that and get into ranges. And I mean, ultimately that's what sport is, right? It's like they get into really favorable and unfavorable positions. And so I want to introduce them to a lot of sort of extreme ranges, different ways of moving instead of the same monotonous stuff every single day. They don't have to listen to me. Like, that's the reality of it. They don't have to listen to me. A lot of them are making more money than me now. I have to earn their trust, and you do that by those daily deposits and also listening to them. I think when you listen to them, you ask really good questions, and when they tell you things, you actually make the adjustment, or you do it, or you add it, or you subtract, whatever it is. They're like, oh, okay, she cares. That's like putting in a deposit in your banking account, right? The more money you stack up and they start to see results, that buys you more equity. And then you can do more. You can dive deeper. You can push them more. You can challenge them to do things that they're uncomfortable with. But you can't do that day one. So it's very much a partnership. It's very much, we're going to make this work for you. That doesn't mean they don't do hard stuff. That doesn't mean that they run the show. That doesn't mean that, what are the inmates are running the asylum, right? Like, it's very much collaboration. And I think it should be. I was brought into this profession, and it wasn't that way. It was very much a dictatorship. It was like, this is your plan. Here's your training card, or like, this is what we're doing. And there weren't really any questions asked. And you got athletes coming in working like robots. They don't like what they're doing. They don't feel connected to it. They're doing stuff that they hate, or maybe it doesn't even feel good, but they're too afraid to say anything because of repercussions. If you don't do things perfectly, then there's a repercussion for that. And it's like, you just are like, what are you actually building in that environment? You might get better, you might get some physical results. Yeah, anybody's going to get physical results when they train, but like, are you actually creating an environment that they want to be a part of, that they're going to give more effort and intent to, or are you just kind of, is this another hour of their day where they're being told to do? Because let's be honest, their entire day is structured and they're told what to do, where to be, and they don't have a lot of say. I want them to have a say in the hour that we're together, because I know weightlifting is also not something that they inherently want to do. Like, they just want to hoop. They came here to play basketball. They didn't come here to be a bodybuilder or a weightlifter or like do all these crazy things. Like, how can I help them feel like what we're doing is making them play basketball better?
I had a mentor, Ben Hilgert, when I got started, and I started with a football team, private school, and I asked him that question, and the first thing he said was, you need to remember they are football players, not weightlifters. You have to convince them that weightlifting makes you a better football player. Thinking that they're just going to do it because you want them to do it is never going to happen. And also the way you worded that dictatorship, it's all, to me, it's like the coaches that preach, like, we got to build buy-in. And it's like, well, buy-in's a one-way street. Whereas, like you said, partnership, trust, collaboration is a two-way street where they feel they're also a part of the ride. Like, it's not just you plugging in the maps and going in the direction. You're asking them, like, hey, where would you like to go?
So transitioning from the warm-up in every part of our training, especially in the off season, we're always working on landing and jumping emphasis, like obviously different qualities throughout the year. I think from a training environment standpoint, a concept that I use regardless of exercise is repetition without repetition. So like introducing variability of different movements, whether it's a squat, lunge, jumping, landing, especially in jumping and landing, because what they do on the court in terms of that is all over the place. There's no perfect jump. There's no perfect landing. So I want to introduce them to a lot of different ways to do those things with and without like obstacles, evading people, objects, like a visual component too. So what we're going to do is just go through a simple box jump and then a drop landing progression. Okay. We're going to do 5 reps. You're going to jump onto the box however you want to, and then you're going to jump off the box and land however you want to. But every single rep has to be different. So that can be 2 legs, that can be forward, rotational. Okay. I don't care how you do it. Every rep has to look different. And I don't care how you do it as long as you can control it. Own it. Yep. Okay, landing's got to be different too.
Whoa, that was pretty different.
Come on. There we go. Perfect. Okay, that's 4. We got 1 more. Really good. Really good. That's 5. Oh, you got 1 more in you.
Got 1 more? Spinsies. I may have done that one already.
You may have. So
just getting them in different.
Getting them to, one, they've got to think about what they're doing.
Nah.
Like just adding that simple cognitive component is so huge, just in terms of how your body's moving and the decision-making process. 2, you're getting them to jump off 1 leg, 2 legs, different ways, because let's be honest, nobody just jumps straight up and straight down on 2 legs or even on 1 leg. So you're adding a vestibular component to it in terms of balance. You're adding some coordination. You're challenging them to control their bodies in different directions. So forces are coming from different ways. They've got to stabilize. So I like it from that standpoint, because it prepares them rather than just cookie cutter jumps and landings. Like, that's not pretty. Sport is not pretty. Yeah. And then again, just the creativity aspect of it too. They can do things that you might never think of. Yep. And
well, not only is it preparing themselves, but it's that I would imagine while you're doing that, the other athletes are paying attention to everyone because they're seeing what did they do. Like, so it's almost like bringing everyone into a moment.
And then there's like a competition. They're like, oh, I want to do that, or I can do that, or I'm going to do a 360. And then the challenging each other, like, well, I want to try that. And then again, you drive engagement. Like, the training environment becomes a lot different when you've got things like that going on in those conversations, as opposed to just like, hey, you're going to go do 5 box jumps and be done with it.
Well, you were talking about your leadership style and as a way of just like empowering, like I'm trying to encourage them to do movement. And this is that, like, hey, this is your, like, hey, have fun. Like, take
Yeah.
the wheels off, you guys run with
Yeah.
it, rather than like, all right, everyone on the whistle, load, go. And then it's like, they're kind of looking to the side, you know, they're not really, I can see the engagement and the empowerment that an athlete must feel doing something like that.
And there, you avoid overcoaching it too. Like, just let them watch them, let them do it. When you see something that needs to be cleaned up, clean it up. But honestly, like, as long as they're not putting themselves at extreme risk for something, like, they're gonna land ugly sometimes. That's okay. I'd rather them do it and prepare for it in here
Yeah.
than them going out on the court and experiencing that for the first time. So I think there's a lot of different components you can touch in with that.
In your weight room, people do have ownership. Like you do give them that autonomy. So how do you give that autonomy, but at the same time, make sure that they are still on the right path and still not so different from everyone else?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a spectrum for sure. And, you know, we talked about the environment and creating the environment. I think at any point in my career, when I look back at the most challenging things, the conflicts, all of that, like, it always stemmed back to people issues. It wasn't a matter of the training or the wrong technology or whatever it is. It's like, I either can't get this person to do what I'm asking them to do. They don't trust me. They don't like me or respect me. There's just tension, right? Like, there's so many elements to it. And so I've done so much research on just, okay, I need to be a better leader. I need to lead people better. I need to be a better communicator. I need to find a way to connect to them on a deeper level, or this is just going to be a really unpleasant experience for both of us. And there were times in my career where I was like, man, like, I don't think I'm cut out for this. And so that led me to, like, when we create the environment, I always bring it back to the self-determination theory of, like, motivation, right? Because I'm like, these kids don't want to be here. So how can I make them want to be here? And it's not just for this, but I think about it in my own work environment and any of our lives, right? Like, the three main components of that are that you got to feel competent in what you're doing. So that, I think, speaks to the individualization of training and programming and, like, putting them in positions to have success instead of just trying to fit them into this mold of, like, this is what I think you should be doing. There's the autonomy piece, which is like, we want to have a choice. We want to have a say in how we do things, what we do. And then the third is the connection piece, like the relatedness. We want to feel connected, obviously, to the people around us, to what we're doing. Like, there should be value in that. And so from an autonomy standpoint, it starts small. It might just be like, hey, what's your favorite exercise? Okay, pick whatever exercise you want to do and finish the workout with that exercise. To the point where I have athletes that can come in and I just give them sort of the structure of, like, hey, I want some jumping and landing or explosive movements here. This block, we're going to do lower body. Pick whatever lower body you want to do, go in heavy. And then I give them sort of the guardrails. And then, hey, these are our rep ranges, and this is what it should feel like. And then they can just plug in place and go. Sometimes I've had athletes like, hey, this is what we're doing, or, like, this is what I would like for today. Like, you get to choose what you do, like, go for it, and they can handle it. Some athletes can't handle that. So there's a cognitive aspect to autonomy as well too, like having to think. And some of these guys, like, their brains are already overwhelmed with too much. So some people are like, I just want you to tell me what to do. Cool, I got you. I still want you to pick one thing to finish with. Pick something you like to do, feel good, whatever. So there's so much in between there too. So I think it depends on the athlete, like, individually, what can they handle mentally, obviously physically, you know, from an exercise selection choice. My theory is, like, I'm going to expose you to as many movements as possible. Like, I want there to be a lot of variety. One, so I can see what fits, what doesn't, what feels good, what doesn't, what you like and don't like. And so they have a whole sort of library and experience to choose from. And then it just differs on time of year, what the goal is. But I've found when you give them, it's a process. Like, it's not pretty. Like, I think everyone expects these, like, especially college weight rooms, to be like these perfectly well-oiled machines. Like, you must do this on this tempo, and you must move in this fashion, and it must look like this, and you must do your reps a certain way. And there's no room for any of that, right? Learn it. Like, I want them to learn, because we treat them like pros. We're also training them to be pros. Like, you're not going to have these resources, and, like, you have to learn how to think for yourself. Some these kids come in, they don't know how to think for themselves. So I'm going to force you to do that. And it's messy. Like, it doesn't look like a perfectly well-run weight room. It looks like a shit show probably all the time. I'm in a lot of different, you know, doing a lot of different things, having a lot of different conversations. I'm not running everybody on the same whistle and things at the same time, but it's a lot of learning. And I think that process has allowed for them to take ownership of what they're doing. But I think also there's more buy-in, there's more investment and more intent in what they're doing, because it's, again, they have a say in it, but also they feel like what they're doing is actually helping them. So from a strength standpoint, lower body wise, we're gonna do a single leg variation. I'm gonna let you choose. We can do a split squat, single leg squat to a bench.
This goes like a lunge. Lunge variation.
Okay. We're gonna have you grab the ball. So from a rep standpoint, we've got 6 reps.
Okay.
But I want you to perform every rep, either a different direction, different distance. I want you to change up the type of lunge that you're doing.
Okay.
At the same time, you're doing something different with the med ball with your upper body.
Okay.
So challenging you to coordinate together.
Yep.
I don't care how you perform each rep, but each one's got to be a little bit different. And it could be something as simple as just the distance that you're stepping.
Okay.
And then arms are moving in a variety of different ways. Something different every time. 3. Yep. Yep. Woo. Good. Good. That's it.
6?
Yeah. Yeah, that's 6. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So there's, with that, like, there's no wrong or right way to do the rep. It's just introducing them, one, getting them to explore different ranges, how that feels. Like every lunge that we do, like, yes, there might be a time and a place for we're just going to do lunges. It's a reverse lunge, knock out your reps. Like sometimes just from a general robustness, but if we're talking about creating better movers, creating better athletes, like trying to introduce them to a variety of different things, letting them choose, letting them be creative with it, and also getting your body to coordinate in different ways just to challenge your proprioception, one, and also, again, that decision-making process, I think, is huge. If you can create a smoother athlete just in the movement patterns that we do, I think that's an easy way to get a little bit more specific with how what we're doing in here translates to the court.
It's almost that concept of like they're problem solvers. So you're creating a problem and just watching how they, I guess, solve it. And then as a coach over your time with them is kind of equipping their toolbox with different movement patterns. So now they have more of a creativity that they can kind of lean into because they've experienced some of those things.
Right. And getting them comfortable in extreme ranges too, like under control, right? And I think the biggest thing is, like, we crave that control. Like we want there's no perfect technique when it comes to movement. Like everybody looks different based on their body type. So I can't expect every athlete to look the same what they do or move the same.
Yep.
So I think it challenges them in different ways. And again, like I think of it as a global, like, systems approach to training. It's like it's not just the muscular system. It's not just training the lower leg in a lunge. It's training everything to move together. And also the cognitive and decision-making process of it is on the court. They also have to think and move. And obviously those things are instinctual in the way that they move. But ultimately, when it comes to injury or whatever, there's always another factor other than just a physical aspect. So even just introducing a small glimpse or a small aspect of that in training, I think is huge, just in terms of like the actual brain development as well.
How do you so no offense, we are a little bit older. The college kids are getting no older. They're this, younger, youthful, adapting to the times of society. How do you relate to that kid that's coming in? Obviously being a woman in women's sports helps. But like, how do you build that connection with a 18-year-old kid that's been the best basketball player probably for the past 6 years on every team they've been on? They've given free stuff. They're probably getting paid when they are getting paid. They've probably been getting paid from sponsorships nowadays. Their social media is exploding. Everyone tells them how great they are. How do you now, they step foot in a weight room, a stranger, no offense,
Yeah.
and I'm going to listen to this person. Like, how do you now navigate that?
Yeah. Man, the things I catch myself saying sometimes to it, and I'll be in like a normal conversation with somebody and I'm speaking language that I speak to our players, right? Like, you've got to learn what they care about.
Yeah.
You got to learn their words. You got to learn what they care about. Like, you can't fight those things. Like, as absurd as some of these things are, whether it's TikTok stuff or whatever, like, you've got to embrace it and use it to your advantage to speak with them and connect with them on some level. Because I think when you have, even if it's this much information on what they care about, you have to use that to your advantage to connect with them. And I think, like you alluded to, like, they come in, they don't have to listen to me. Like, they really don't. And I'm okay. Like, the way that we treat our players is like, I'm not going to force you to do anything. Our best players, like there's a point in everybody's career where they start to value what I do. It may not be right away, and that's okay. So if that's the case, I'm just going to meet you where you're at. I'm going to give you what I know you need, but I'm not going to try to push, and I'm not going to challenge you in ways that are going to create like this tension, because you have to build trust, and you can break it so easily by doing something, a simple thing that you say, a simple thing that you do. So I'm like, I'm going to just slow cook this one. If I feel like there's a little bit of resistance or there's a little bit of like whatever, but I'm always trying to find ways to learn about them and learn about what they care about, and then speak that language to them. As absurd as it is, it could be the dumbest thing ever. It had completely unrelated to anything basketball, strength and conditioning, any of it. And just use any moment I can to like create connection. I'm lucky though, because I spend more time around them than anybody on our staff, probably me and our athletic trainer, because we can be with them any point of the year. And so I'm always around them. So it's not just our interactions in the weight room. It's me spending time with them outside of work. If we're at coach's house, or we're eating a meal, or we're at practice, or we're on the road. And there's a lot of moments where you can make those deposits and just spend time learning about them as a person. I think when you do that, then that relationship starts to build. You can't make them do hard things, and you can't have hard conversations with people if you don't have that level of relationship with them, or they're not going to listen to you. But I think you can't force anything. Everybody comes to a point on their own where they realize what you do is important. They may know, and they're going to do and be compliant, but that there's always a turning point, and you can't force that or speed up that process on anybody. But when you, no matter what, like they're still kids, they're still people. A lot, like all of those elements of just what humans go through and what 18 to 22-year-olds go through, it remains the same. It's just you have to learn how to speak to sort of this new age of what's happening in their worlds. And when you can do that, that builds that level of connection.
Having such a journey and being so successful, where did that sort of discernment come from? Like, how have you always been that way, of just being able to like remove your ego and let that 18-year-old be an 18-year-old? Because I think a lot of coaches, and not even just coaches, trainers even, have such a hard time of like, hey, like listen to me, or do it my way, or this is the right way, or why aren't you listening to me, or why aren't you doing what I say, or paying attention, or giving intent, and then they just yell. For me, it's that concept of like the emergency broadcast system. Like, if you're driving in your car listening to the radio and that thing goes wham, wham, you instantly reach to the radio and turn the volume down. But coaches, the second someone's not listening, they do the same thing. They ramp it up. And you think that's going to now open the door? Do you think now they're going to listen more? Now, if anything, they're going to be like, yo, I don't want no part of this. Yeah. But that sort of discernment of checking your own ego, like where did that start?
Actually, I had players that forced me to check my own ego. My first year at South Carolina, I think that's a problem, right? It's like nobody teaches you the human element of coaching. Like if you think you're on this path to be a strength coach, you learn how to make a training program, an annual plan, you learn testing, tracking, all of that stuff, right? And they're like, oh, we're going to teach you how to coach and cue movements. Nobody teaches you how to coach humans. And unfortunately, the perception and like the way that strength conditioning has been in America is that same culture of like, we're just going to be loud. You're going to do it my way. If you don't, there's repercussions. You want to instill, like I was taught, like we should be instilling fear in them. Like they should fear coming to the weight room. And like, that's how I was brought up into this. But like, it never felt right to me. And anytime I would coach that way, I'm like, I'm not an asshole. Like, I'm not wired to be a hard ass. That's not me. But when I got this job at South Carolina, I was also told like, hey, we've got to get some kids in gear. Like, we need to like get some people in line, sort of thing. And, I was given some context as to like, we've got some difficult players and we've got some players that we really need to prepare. So like, I took my past experiences, even though I had this opportunity now to take everything I had learned, things that I like and don't like, and now make it my own. I came in and I tried to mimic my old boss. And I came in trying to be a hard ass of like putting my foot down. Like, these are the changes I want to make. I want to do things my way. This is sort of the system that we're doing. And I didn't spend enough time surveying the scene and being like, okay, like what worked well? What did they like before? Who are these people in front of me? I was like, no, like this is what we're doing. And if you don't, like I'm gonna like there's a punishment or whatever, right? And like I got in and I did things that way, and these kids were like,
Yeah.
like literally, like I mean, I was dealing with things I'd never dealt with before. Like the tension was palpable every single session. And like I put so much pressure on myself to do well. I'm stepping into a program that is a year from their first national championship. I'm also stepping into shoes of somebody I really respect and value, and I want to do right by her and make her proud. I'm working for this Hall of Fame coach who doesn't know me, so I'm trying to make a good impression, like, hey, I can do this job, I can get these results. And so I put so much of my focus on that. Like, I was like, we're going to train this way. We're going to track everything, blah, blah, blah. I don't care what, like, this is your plan and like, this is what we're doing. And these kids were like, I hate you. Like they're like, we would have verbal altercations. Like they would cuss at me, like, and I was just miserable. And I was like, this doesn't feel good, like for anybody.
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't how I want to coach. This, like, we're getting results. We went to a Sweet 16. There was still a level of success there, but I was like, if this is how it is, I don't think I can do it, nor do I want to do it. And that was the year I was like, I gotta look in the mirror a little bit, because what's going to move the needle is not going to some conference and learning how to periodize whatever, change exercises, utilize this technology better. Is like, no, like I gotta check myself. Like I gotta be better. I gotta be a better person. And like, I gotta coach a different way, or this is not gonna work. And I was lucky I got connected. Jeremy Boone, who's been a good friend and mentor of mine, with his, like, basically a leadership coaching group. And I was like, I'm going to put my money and my time into being a better coach and a better leader. And also, like, I need to get back to figuring out who I am and how I want to do things and like what my values are. And I need to be okay with doing things my way and doing things that are in a way that's true and authentic to me, and be okay with that maybe not being good enough. And so I went just down that deep dive into like some self-reflection, and like I was at a really low point. I was burnt out. I was stressed. I was not healthy. And I just was like, I got to make a change. And part of it made it easier. So out of a team of 13, I think we had my first year, there was maybe 6 or 7 that like it was really rough. Like we had some major issues to work through. Like half of those people graduated. I think the other ones transferred out. There were still some remaining from that team that I had to repair some relationships with. But then we brought in a new wave of freshmen that also helped just completely change the trajectory of our culture. And it allowed me to like practice these new coaching methods and conversations and things with a group that had no previous history with me. And from there, it just started to snowball, and I started to get connected with people that were kind of thinking in the same way. And, Travis Knight at Gonzaga, Ali Kirshner, and like, they were all dealing with sort of like these same, like, why are we doing things the way that we've always been taught? Like the autonomy piece and creating the environment. So it just sort of started spiraling, and I just started experimenting and trying things out, and it just sort of caught momentum. And I think it just taught me a lot, and I have adapted and adjusted and figured things out along the way, but it was pretty rough there for a while. Obviously with warm-ups, another way that I like to start off our sessions is I like to just play games. Like there's nothing that gets a group going faster, and just in terms of morale, energy, laughing, competition, better than that. And so sometimes we'll do full team ones, sometimes we'll do individual ones, sometimes we'll do partner ones. So I want to take you through a couple of examples of those.
Okay.
First one is bear crawl, capture the flag. So we'll partner up. I want that towel just tucked in your shorts or on your side, back of your shorts, and I want you down in a bear crawl position. So the first way you can do it is you're down. Okay, I'm up here. I'm trying to grab and capture your flag.
Okay.
You have to stay on the ground. You can move around maneuver however you want, trying to evade me, escape me. Don't let me pull the towel from you.
Okay.
Your only constraints is just this space right here. Okay. And you've got to stay on all fours. Knees can be off the ground, obviously, but you're crawling around. That's the only way. You can't get up and move, roll over, hide your flag.
Okay.
And let me grab. Yep. Perfect.
It was my only way out. You were there. I tried something different.
It worked. It worked. Okay, so that's one.
Yep.
So,
I mean, honestly, just that alone, like, I mean, obviously I know you, but like, if kids are doing that, just laughing, having fun, moving around, closed chain position of the shoulder joint, contralateral, opposite shoulder, opposite leg, crawling, moving. I mean, that's prepping.
right.
Prepping the nervous system, prepping tissue, putting yourself
Right.
in.
They're not thinking about that. Obviously, there's a lot of physical benefits, but I love anything that gets them interacting with the ground.
Yeah.
And for so many reasons, but that's one. And then another alternative to that would be we're both going at it 1v1. I'm also in that position as well too.
So
Not
you're
gonna be
just
quite as agile as you.
Hey, not many people.
I teed that one.
So with this, you're not giving them much at all. You're just saying, hey, towels in your shorts.
Yes.
All fours. Go for it.
Yes. I think that's one thing that's like the less talking, the better. Like one with this type of like athlete and these kids, their attention spans, they can't listen to more than 3 words at a time. So the less talking, just provide as little information that they need to get the job done. And then you just let them figure it out. I think that's, if I had to sum up my coaching style, it's like, you got to figure some things out. I'm not here to tell you and hold your hand through it.
Yep.
But I'm here to give you the support and you find a way to get it done.
Okay.
Okay. So you and I are at it. I might take these.
Yeah, you better.
I feel like I'm about to get manhandled here. Ready?
Yep.
Yep.
Whoa, all fours. Perfect.
So it can get ugly quick too. Yeah. It can get ugly.
But once again, interacting with the ground, having fun, just moving around. So is there anything with creating so much open-ended thought that you have to like prepare a situation? Because that can get very up real quick, especially when people are fighting. So is there anything specifically that you're looking for from like giving them a little bit of guardrails? Like, are you telling them like, so I've done stuff like this in the past, and the only thing I'll say is like, heads don't touch.
Yes.
Heads don't touch.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I do not care.
Yes.
Heads do not touch.
Heads don't touch. Don't tackle each other, because sometimes they'll say screw the rules and they'll just like,
for sure,
they'll just barrel into somebody, just for the fun of it. So yeah, no heads. Like you give them from a safety standpoint, a little bit more constraint, and then obviously if you see like it's just getting out of them, some groups can't handle it. Then you got to pivot, find something else, or keep it maybe in that first variation where somebody's standing and going, and then you got to make sure that they're spaced out enough. So you're always thinking about that, and sometimes there's stuff that they start to do, and you're like, okay, you guys clearly can't handle this. We're going to take it down a notch, go a different route.
But you've done your due diligence as a coach. You're not coming in with this. You're leading in with the obstacle course, the game of like moving through things, and you're like, okay, now you're ready to explore something with a little bit more ownership on you. Yeah. Like as a coach, I'm letting you have a little bit more of the reins.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you have to know your group, and you always have, to me, you're erring on the side of caution. Like start small, see what they can handle. Sometimes from a maturity level, they can't handle certain things. And then I think understanding like who it is that you're dealing with, even just like group to group, like one group might be fine with it. The next group, it's a train wreck. And you're like, okay, got to rethink that one next time. But that's a part of it too. Like you're not always going to have the perfect plan, or what you think in your head is how it's going to go. It does not go that way. And sometimes like you learn your lesson. You're like, okay, well, I'm not doing that again.
Anytime, or not anytime, that's unfair to say. I've been in a lot of weight rooms where it is that over the top, and I get it. If there's 80 to 100 kids and you're trying to control a lift, you do have to control the situation. With a group of 10 to 15, a lot different. But I'm not that coach. I'm not gonna like yell in your face and that's just not me. I'm not running up, slapping you on the back.
Slap you on the.
Like I'm not gonna do that. I am the most unmotivational. Like, hey man, like this is what we're gonna do, and they understand the importance behind it. But like, hey, you have to do it. Like I can't make you do it. But when you talk about self-discovery and you talk about your authentic self, for one, kids not just kids, any client, they see right through that shit. If you're unauthentic or you're trying to be the yelling coach, like if I came in to this gym and I started like, guys, let's go, they would look at me like, where is this coming from? Like, what's going on? Because it's not me. And I think coaches think like that's how you're supposed to do it. And then they do it and people just look at them like, dude, you look like a clown. Like, that's not. So how did that come, like, of you changing that image of you? Because there's that concept of like fake it till you make it, like faking who you are. I try to look at it more of like, think about the character that you would like to be. Like, so for me, if I think about the best version of Vernon, what he looks like, what he talks like, how he treats people, and now I have an avatar that I'm associating with a goal. So now when decisions come up or I need to do things, it's not what I would do in the present, it's what would that person do? So now it's like I have a little bit of direction with choices to help guide me. How was yours?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And it's like, I had to get back to, I was thinking about it outside of work too. I was like, I feel like I'm a shell of myself, of like, I don't have much, like I'm in a new place. I'm still figuring out the work environment, but like outside of work, I also didn't have a real strong identity. Like, I think we take on, like, obviously what we do is such a big part of who we are, but I think sometimes, especially strength coaches, like that's their only identity. And like, I felt like prior to that, I had more of an identity, and then I feel like I lost it. And so part of it for me was like just going back to like, who am I? And like that goes back to like my roots and my family and like what was I raised on, like what do I believe in, like how do I want to treat people, how do I want people to feel. And I think back to some of the lessons and things I was going through in my coaching leadership, and there's 3 questions. It literally sort of changed my outlook on, I think, just how I interact and treat with people. And Jeremy, this comes from Jeremy. And the first one is like, who do I need? Like, how is this person about to experience me? Like, and that forces you to check yourself. Like, whatever's going on outside, whatever stress, like outside those doors, like what am I bringing into this session, this interaction with this person? And like, how are they about to experience me? And like, are they going to experience the best version of me? Are they going to experience as burnt out, stressed, probably undernourished, under like all of it? Like, are they going to experience somebody who's just like hanging on by a thread, or like, are they going to experience somebody that is positive and uplifting and kind and loving and supportive? The second one is like, who does this person need me to be right now? There's times where they need you to kick them in the ass or like be hard or harsh on them. Or do they need somebody today to just kind of let them deal with whatever they're going through and back off and have some like empathy and just kind of let them, do their thing? Do they need a therapist? Do they need a friend? Do they need me to be like their mom in that instance? Like, we wear a lot of different hats. And the third one is like, how does this person experience themselves when they're around me? Like, how am I making this person feel? Like, am I making them feel like they're just another person in this equation? It's another part of their day where I'm just telling them what to do. I'm not really interacting with them. Maybe a small talk here and there. Or how am I making them feel about what they're doing, how they're doing it, how I'm coaching them, all of those things. And like those 3 questions like check me and like really put things back in perspective of like the environment, right? Because I think when you have those things right, the training and the stuff takes care of itself. But I think like it came back to my identity, like what do I value the most? Like, who am I at my best? Like you said, what things do I enjoy? And am I doing those things to be my best self at work? Because at the time I wasn't. So that wasn't even part of the, in the equation at the time. And I think when you're really clear on who you are, what you value, how you want to treat people, and then you think, like, I think about those 3 questions, I'm like, okay, like that allows me to bring my best self to these kids. Because let's be honest, like shit goes on in our lives too, but like we have to show up, and we're one of the most consistent people in these guys' lives. And they're navigating a lot, but like I can't help them get where they want to go, and I can't help impact them in the way that I want to if I'm not taking care of me outside of it. And it just came back to getting back to the basics on that, and actually creating some boundaries with my time, creating some boundaries in the way that I was just, I think living my life, and allowing me to then bring my best self forward.
You've talked about stress quite a bit, about like managing it, your stress, adapting to it. South Carolina is a perennial contender. Championships, Sweet 16s, you name it. Don Staley, Hall of Fame coach. How do you deal with that stress? Because it's not just the weight room or am I showing up for you on a daily basis? There's still that thing that's lingering, like we're supposed to win. Like that, no matter what you like it, no matter how good the team is, how bad the team is, injuries, whatnot, you're still supposed to win. And if you're in that basketball arena, it feels like you're supposed to win. When we went to that game, it was electric. Like those people expect for y'all to compete, contend, and win. How does that now add to all of that? Because all that stuff's great, but that low hum that's sitting there isn't going anywhere.
Right. Man, there's no easy way because it creeps in at different times. And I think one thing from within our program, like we talk about keeping our circle tight. Like when you're in the spotlight, like we are, there's a lot of people that want to kind of seep their way in, right? They or want to be in your ear, or they've got things to say. Obviously, the media is all over your every move when things are going well, especially when things are going wrong or what they think is wrong, right? And I think there's a lot of everyone talks about sort of like you're chasing the success, right? And like the winning, and it's intoxicating. Like it is, and it can be. And like it can create that cycle, right? Of just like striving for more. But I think despite how much success that we've had, I think what helps keep any of us level is just like we are so focused in on each other and like keeping our circle tight and like knowing that no matter what, win or lose, because you're not going to win every game, right? Like we are doing things the right way. And I think there's a lot of joy and there's a lot of, I think like, I don't know the best word for it, but there's maybe a sense of peace, like knowing like you're part of something that no matter what, like you're proud. We've lost 7 games in the last 5 years or something like that. Like I can't remember, but like it doesn't happen often. And when it does, like it might feel like the end of the world. Other people make it feel like it's the end of the world, right? But like we just go about our business. And I think when you're really clear, I think it goes back to being really clear on the most important thing, which is the people, which is the process that you have. And it's on just staying true to that. Obviously, you adapt and you have to adjust things as you go. But when you're really clear on your identity, what matters most, your values, like within our program, like you have to tune it out. And I think you have to be okay. Like you being in that position and having notoriety or whatever, like there's always going to be people that are saying shit, good and bad. And I think you've got to have like really, like I think for me too, like outside of like work, right? Like that's stressful enough. And like, yeah, we put pressure and at the end of the day, results matter. But like you've got to also have really strong boundaries, I think, outside of it in terms of like protecting your time, you're protecting your boundaries, just surrounding the job because it can overtake every part of your life, right? And everybody wants to talk about it. Like I found that like even just like family and things like that, it's like people want to talk about South Carolina basketball all the time. And like you've got to draw a line and you've got to like really protect like the sanctity and like what you have and kind of let block everything out. It's hard. It's not easy. And there's times where like I know I'm about to enter in the most stressful next 5 or 6 months, right? That's just part of it from here until hopefully April if we're playing in the Final Four for a national championship. Understand that like there's ebbs and flows to it. We have sort of like a 24-hour rule, like regardless, win or lose, whatever, like we can't deal with it, process it, and then we're back to business. And it's just the consistency of everything that we do. I think for me personally, like this tattoo, equanimity, I remember Brett Bartholomew, I don't know how many years ago once, like that was a word that he used to describe me as like somebody that's calm-minded, despite whatever turmoil or whatever stress or whatever's going on, like somebody that's just like really balanced in their frame of mind and their emotional state. And I think that's something I didn't really know. I didn't even know that word existed, but like as I've sort of navigated, like I think that's something I do a good job of, is just like whatever it is that happens, like, because at any point it can take away the success that I've had, the success that we've had. At any point it can be gone. So I think just like staying present, I think that's a key to it too, is like staying present in the moment. What's right in front of you, the people that are in front of you, what job do you have to do today? Okay, we're gonna turn around, and then what happens the next day, we're gonna deal with it then, regardless of what's going on. And I think when you can sort of compartmentalize like that, it makes it a little bit easier, because there's no escaping it completely.
Everything is clear, everything is concise. Feel like you have everything like in line. But I know that's not how you coach, like your philosophy with coaching. You're definitely navigating that gray area with taller athletes, maybe very skilled basketball players, but maybe not athletic in the weight room, or adapting to their preferences. So how do you navigate that gray area of coaching? Because everything is like, you go to a presentation, you're like, oh, periodization looks like this, this is how you should undulate. This is how you should involve plyometrics. All this stuff is very black and white textbook, like, oh yeah, in a perfect world, this is what it should look like.
Yeah.
But if you ever go into an actual training session, it does not look like that at all. And it's funny because I've seen coaches give presentations on a high horse, like, this is what we do, this is how we are. And I'm sitting there listening to it going, I was just in your weight room a couple months ago. This is not true at all. But every coach in this room now is looking at you going, okay, yeah, that's how it should be. And I'm just like, just be honest. Just be honest. So how does that gray area for you work? Like when you're navigating that?
Yeah. Yeah, nobody teaches you about that, right?
Mhm.
Like you're taught, okay, this is how you lay out your annual plan. Within that, that's how you lay out your training blocks, and these are different periodization models and all of that stuff. And like, this is when you should deload, and this is when you should test, and all of those things. And you're like, okay, cool. Okay, I remember going into my interview with Coach Staley, and I'm like, here's my annual plan. Here's what I'm going to do. And she's, I can tell it now, like looking back, knowing her expressions in her body, she's like, awesome, cool. Like, I don't care about that. Like, can you get them to do what they don't want to do? Like that 10%, like 95 or 85% of the time, like things are great. But what about that 15% of like, they don't want to do this shit? Like, can you get them to do what they need to do then? Like, that's what I care about, right? So you look at, like, you have this plan, right? And you need to have a plan. But I think as I've gone, you realize really quickly, like, nothing ever goes away. Like, if you think about this, just the amount of stressors these guys go through on a given day, like obviously academic, like basketball enough, and just their world being a basketball player at South Carolina is enough stress for more than enough stress for any individual. And then you add in academics on top of that. You add in the stress and from personal relationships, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever. Now you add in NIL, and off days aren't off days. They're traveling across the country for shoots, and they're doing X, Y, and Z. And now all these people are in their ear because they are trying to help them make decisions, and they want money and all of these things. And then you got to go to the weight room, which you don't want to do. And you're not sleeping because you're 18 to 22-year-old. You don't sleep at a normal time. You eat like you're a 5-year-old. You don't think about drinking a bottle of water until you show up and we give you a bottle of water. Like, you're doing all these things on essentially like your body is just on overdrive all the time. So like, what you think your training adaptations should be and what you think you should be doing. I listen to these people talk of like, this is our squat progression. We're going to goblet squat, and then we're going to front squat and back squat. And those are our only 3 squat. Like what in the world? Like, if I asked one of our players to put a bar on their back, like without them telling me they like to back squat, they're gonna be like, nah, I ain't doing that. Like, there's so many things. Like, you think they're gonna feel good one day. They come in and they just broke up with their boyfriend and they're a hot mess and they didn't sleep, and you're like, okay, nobody teaches you how to deal with that. Then what? You're perfectly programmed 4-week mesocycle. Like, what now? Like, are you gonna make them do that, or are you gonna adjust? So I couldn't tell you the last time I actually wrote out a training program. I know what I want to achieve at different times of the year. What that looks like for each athlete is different. It's about fitting exercises to them, not making them do what you think that they should be doing because it's greater rate of force development or whatever. Like, it doesn't actually matter what you do. And I can say that because all of our best like if at the end of the day, if our job is to help them play their sport better, then the way that we do things shouldn't matter. But we are so tied to our own ego and our own beliefs about what exercises are right and wrong, and this produces more power than this, and what, like, nobody cares, and it doesn't matter. What matters is what you can get the athlete to do on that day that still fits within the target that you want. And that could be a million different things. But like, we get so technical and we chase all of this, like, oh, well, we got to track their progress in X, Y, and Z. Why?
Mm-hmm.
How about we track about, are they playing basketball better? Like, are they moving better? Do they feel better? Can they do what's being asked of them on the court? And yeah, are they improving along the way? Sure. But like, all of our best players are not the strongest in the weight room, are not the fastest if I time them, and are not jumping the highest. They are strong enough, they're fast enough, but they move really well. They know how to use their body and their strength on the court, and they're super skilled. But like 80% of our athletes are super skilled and are shit in the weight room, or very average, mediocre. And you have the 10% that's like, okay, super high skill, and they're super athletic, they've trained, and they look good. Then you've got your 10% that are like, for us, I mean, even our average skill players are still better than 90% of most. And then you've got, you know, they're also good athletes. So it's like, most of what you're dealing with are these really awkward, long-limbed, no torso, not great movers, not smart to put a bar on their back. I know way too many basketball players that have jacked up their backs or whatever from back squat. And I'm not saying it's a bad exercise. I love a back squat, but like, we just think that's what we should be doing with everybody because that's what we've been taught.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know how I can sit here and say we've had 3 national championships. I've been a part of 2. We've been at 5 straight Final Fours, and maybe 2 athletes of mine have put a bar on their back ever. I think maybe a couple of our kids have ever used a barbell to bench press. They're not like, sometimes they trap, like there's a million different ways you can get somebody stronger, but ultimately like the most we can impact them is by helping them be a better athlete, develop some coordination, some strength, some movement, like literacy and variability, and then like let them play their sport. Like, I don't give a shit how much they squat if they can't do what we're asking them to do on the basketball court. So like when you realize, I think a lot of us say we're really athlete centric and like hold it, like we're about the athlete, but then we're still making decisions based on our own ego, that because we're so tied to this belief that like, oh, so your back squat went up like 75 pounds, so that's cool. They still can't shoot and they still can't jump any higher than they did before. Like, what are we doing? I can go on this, like, I gotta be hot for a second, but like,
I completely agree. But it's just meeting them where they are.
yeah.
And I would argue the more important thing than exercise selection or exercise progression or movement pattern is the intent behind each movement. And intent is driven by trust, confidence, and want. Like, do they want to do that? And it's like, you can program someone, let's just say a goblet squat as an example, and say, I can give that to you for 8 reps. And I want it to be an RP of 8, just something challenging for 8 reps. And then I give it to someone else who doesn't do that. Do I think that's going to be the same stimulus? Absolutely not. Same exercise, same pattern, but they're going, you know,
Yeah.
okay, what's next? What's next? Versus someone that's like, I love goblet squat. That's my favorite. That's going to be their intent with that. They're going to be so dialed in, their cues, their form, their connection. So it's a completely different exercise. You know who Steve Carell is, right? Okay, so you've ever seen the movie Dan in Real Life?
No.
Okay, it is not like, it's not going to blow you away. It's not like the best movie ever, but it's probably one of my favorite movies. Like maybe in my top 5. And there's an end part of it. It's about this dad that his wife dies and he has a teenage daughter and a younger preteen daughter. And he's like trying to raise them, but it's Steve Carell. So he's all over the place. And there's a story at the end of the episode where he's like a journalist and he's writing and he talks about, it's like, cause he had all these plans his whole life. His wife died. He had all these plans and everything changed. And he was like, we get so tied in with plans. And he said, as a parent, we preach the importance of plans and preach the importance of having a plan and why you should have a plan and not changing your plan and sticking to your plan. And he was like, but if you really look around, and he was like, everything's changing. Like your plans are constantly changing. And he was like, so maybe instead of we asking our kids like at high school graduation or college graduation, like, what's the plan? He was like, maybe we should just tell them like, plan to be surprised. And that's how the movie ended. And I was just like, damn, like it does nothing to do with coaching, but it has everything to do with coaching, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Everything that you've learned, and I know you've mentioned to quite a few people already, I'm a big believer that you never do it by yourself. Like I am so thankful for people that gave me their time. Like literally they donated their time to me. And mentorship doesn't have to be like an above person. I think some of the best people I've learned from you is like that horizontal mentorship, someone that I look up to, but I also look next to. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, I can't wait to be that person. It's like, no, I really respect her. I see what she's doing. And that's enough for me. Like, what does she say? What is her input? Who are those people that you would think that has kind of propelled you?
Yeah, man, I could be here for a while. But I mean, Todd Smith obviously is like the first one, because if it weren't for him coming into my class, I would, never really understand what this profession was, at least not at that time. Then for him.
But it does show how important someone, like one person can be
Literally.
with the trajectory of your life.
Right. And then him just offering me the opportunity to just come volunteer. Like without that, no chance. Like this has unfolded the way that it has. So he, I think about him. Brett Bartholomew, somebody I met, he was working at Athletes Performance at the time, now Exos. He took me under his wing, immediately, and I really just gravitated towards him and have just grown to respect him so much in our friendship. Sarah Wiley at Minnesota, who I primarily worked with when I was in grad school there, giving me an opportunity. I remember she gave me my first opportunity to run a game day warm up for the basketball team by myself. And that was my first exposure. I was scared shit. I had my little piece of paper, but I think back to just little moments like that. I think about my colleagues at Purdue that, like I talked about, I didn't have much structure from the top. So I learned from my coworkers like Wally Becker, Sam Craven, they helped me just figure out life as a 23-year-old. I see Megan, one, just doing what she does and, the ultimate connector of people, but also just same thing, took me under her wing at a really young age and has helped me at every step of my career and is just I think the best friend anybody could have. I think about, obviously, Katie Fowler sticking her neck out for me in this position here. Jeremy, I think, there's so many people along the way. I think Coach Staley is somebody I feel so fortunate to learn from. And that was part of why this job was so appealing was, yes, work for this program, but just to learn from her in the world of sport, but just to observe how she navigates the world, how she coaches our players and navigates them through everything that's happening as an athlete, but also outside of here. Everything about her, I literally, there's still moments I'm I have to pinch myself that this is who I get to work for. So her impact on me and what she's done for me, that people have no idea, will never, I'll be forever grateful for that. There's so many people, you for kicking me in the ass to actually start my own business and do my side thing. I needed that. I had been thinking about it and you because of you, I took the actions that I needed to do that. So, and just you and your friendship have been so, I'm so grateful for. There's so many people I know I'm forgetting, but and some of those people I rarely talk to now, but have been so instrumental in just the way that my career is, the trajectory of it.
When you, not to go off on anything, and you mentioned it briefly, the Body by Binetti. So starting your own business. So going from thinking about being a business major or starting out as that to now coaching to now kind of leaning back into that entrepreneurship, businessship world. I hope every coach does that. There's more than enough people to buy programs for everyone. There's no reason to hog the space or not encourage coaches. I love it. God forbid a coach makes a little bit of extra money.
Right.
How has that been?
I think when we talked about it, I wish I would have done it sooner. I wish I would have done it sooner. But it was also something I didn't think I ever wanted to do initially. But I think the thought of it at the time, like back in the day, I was one of those people that's like, oh, these coaches are doing these online programs, like whatever. I like thought it was corny. And then I was like, oh, I don't have the time. I just had all this laundry list of excuses of why I didn't want to do it. And then I think with the platform that I have, I never really imagined, again, that even my time at South Carolina would go the way that it has. Obviously, our team has had a lot of success. And with that, has also given me a platform that I never really would have imagined either. And like one thing about our fan base, we have the best fan base in the country, and they are all about South Carolina basketball. And I'm not just talking the players, they know us. Like I have a hard time going out in public without somebody recognizing me. Like that's the level of like, they know who everybody is. And then obviously with the results that they see with our players, physically, whatever, like they were like my biggest hype men, hype women. And so like social media would blow up, and they coined the term body by Binetti. I just remember seeing it on Twitter.
I saw it on Twitter too.
Yeah. And I was like, I like that. And then, during COVID, everybody was, we had that surge of, at-home workouts and stuff. And so our fans were like tweeting at me, wanting at-home programs and things like that. And so I was sending people free at-home programs. And same time, like that phrase was becoming more popular. And then like our social media team or whatever, like would post content and like use Body by Binetti. And I was like, and someone was like, you need to trademark that. And like, it was just always sort of like these seeds were starting to be planted in my head. I'm like, could I do this? Do I want to do this? Do I have the time to do this? And it's still like nothing ever propelled me to actually take action on it. And then obviously we won at least a second national championship, the first I was a part of in 22. And that's when like it really started to even get, I think that stove started to get a little bit hotter. And then it really took like, I think it was 2023. I was kind of going through some shit. It was in kind of a rough place. Like I was dealing with some personal stuff. Like work was really stressful. That year that we went undefeated, 38-0 and won that second national championship, like that off season before was the hardest year of, like aside from that first year of South Carolina, like that was the hardest year. Like they were a handful, and we went through, like it was really stressful. And I was like, I came up here, I had some time off, and I think we got a drink or got dinner, and I got to talking about it, and you're like, just do it. Like, what are you waiting for? And I didn't have an answer for you. Mm-hmm. And you literally like gave me the steps. Like you linked me up with Trainer Oak, like you linked me up with like, this is how I did my shirts. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go. I literally went back and like, I'm just going to figure this out as I go. I have no idea. So I literally met with the print shop. I got connected with, I started making a program, and I wanted to make a program, my very first one, something that anybody could do. It's because our fans were the ones that were asking me for it, and they were like such big Body by Binetti, like supporters. I was like, okay, I want to do a body weight program. Anybody can do it. This will appeal to my fan base. But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, but I think basketball programs and stuff is the route I wanted to go, because I always get hit up by high school coaches, whatever, like, hey, can you help us out? Can you send me your program? And I'm like, no, I actually can't, because I don't have a program to send you. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, but I really want to do that. And so I just sort of figured it out. I met with an attorney. I started the motion for the Body by Binetti to get trademarked, which nobody told me was a long process. Like I just now, so 2 years after the fact, like it's finally legally a thing. And so I just started taking these steps, and not really having a clue what I was doing, but leaning on you, like leaning on people that have done it to just sort of figure it out as I went. And like when I first published that program and I had the shirts ready, like that shit, like within the first month, I was like thousands of dollars. I was like, oh shit. Like,
love it.
What is it? Like, why didn't I do this before? So it's been really cool to see like the response from it. It's also allowed me to, like, I now train private clients. Like I've turned my shed I had in my backyard was empty, no electricity, nothing. I've turned that into a home gym. I train, anywhere from 7 to 10 clients at different times of the year, doing the online stuff. And like, it's a lot to keep up with. Like I'm like at the point, I'm like, man, it's hard for me to keep up with some of the online stuff as much as I want to, in terms of like how much effort I'm putting into that piece of it. But I've just been figuring it out, and it's been awesome. And it's also given me experiences I've never thought I would have. Like, I got to shoot a commercial with Aaliyah Boston and like QuickBooks, and like never in a million years did I think something like that would happen. But it's been really cool to see, like, one, it kind of gives you, like, you don't really ever understand like how many people you impact, or if people watch you or listen to you or care about what you have to do or say. And like people from all over the country, like I've sent stuff to, I think, every 50 states. People have no idea who they are buying my programs or buying my stuff. And I'm like, damn, like it just gives you sort of that, like, reminds you of your purpose, which is like, if you want to help people, there's so many ways you can do that. And why not use your gift to do that? Like, I do that with our team every day, but now I'm like, okay, I can impact people more than I think I can. And I also have more time and more investment than I think I do, especially in something like that, that just really energizes me. Like, yes, it's more time, it's more energy, but it also like recharges me in a way that, you know, other things don't. So it's been more than I could have imagined. And I feel like it's just, I'm still scratching the surface.
As a coach that's been through so much process, so much trusting, so much trying, volunteering, interning, now running the show of if you were to give advice to maybe your younger self or a younger coach or someone that's getting into the space, what advice do you think you would share?
So what I found more and more too are these younger coaches that are coming in, and they're like, I don't know if I can do this too. Like they also see sort of the box that sometimes strength coaches are in. And I tell them, like, it doesn't have to look a certain way, but what it does have to look like is true to you. Like I think the advice I give most is like, you've got to figure out what you believe in as a coach. And I think more importantly, as like your identity as a person, because that makes the path a lot clearer. But it doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to fit a certain mold. And then I always tell them too, is like, figure out like who is out there where you're like, man, like, I think I want to do that. And then who's doing it at a really high level, and do whatever you can to go learn from that people, or find a way to build a relationship with them somehow. Because I look back at every step in my career, it's been because of people that I've met along the way, and also being never afraid to say yes and like take a risk and move myself across the country to go have this opportunity to learn from these people, because I think that's going to make me the best. Whether that's picking up and moving my whole life and not knowing anybody, or just wanting to learn from this person and like going to spend time with them. Because ultimately, like, what you think this job looks like is very different than what it actually is. So like, go immerse yourself in it and figure out who you want to learn from, and if it's the right fit, or situation for you. But like, trust that who you are is always going to be enough. If you, obviously you have to be good at all the other things, right? But like, you've got to do it in a way that makes sense to you and is true to you, because like you said before, people can see right through it. And that's just part of, I think, living in alignment with what your values are, like who you feel like you are at your core, and then making your environment align with those same things where you're allowed to be yourself. And obviously, I understand there's times where it's not perfect like that, and you have to adapt, and you've got to figure out how to make it work in certain situations. But be who you are, and like figure out who you are as a coach and as a person, and like what your voice is, and figure out like the people that you've learned from, how to take all those things and make it your own, and then go learn from. Never be afraid to go, like, put yourself out there and make a connection, send an email, make a call, show up at somebody's, like, and go learn from them, because people want to give back, and they want to give you your time, or give them your time to help, whatever, the next generation. But you have to do it. And I think sometimes people are too afraid to take that step, but you never know where that step can take you.
Molly, I love everything you do. I've seen it behind the scenes. I've seen it from a distance on social media. I've talked to you. I love you as a person, and I just respect the hell out of you. I respect the message. I respect your journey. I respect how much you give to the field, your presentations. You're constantly putting yourself out there. The stories I've heard about you that you don't even know, that I know. And I am for one, thankful for you to be here. Like, that's awesome. But as a friend, like, I would obviously just like to give you your flowers. Like, I really respect and appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. I love you too, man. I really do. I'm thankful our cross paths, and I'm thankful to be here with you. Whether you know it or not, I think long before we even met, you're somebody that I learned from, that I look to. Never again thought that we would know each other, let alone have the friendship that we do now. But yeah, really, really grateful for you, and thank you for doing everything that you do, not just for me. I mean, you've done so much for me personally, but for the profession as well too. Like, you make everyone around you better. You make our profession better. But I think, like you said, more importantly, like as a human and as a friend, like as you get older, you really value those relationships more than anything. And I think your circle gets smaller, but it gets
Better.
it gets better, it gets more real, it gets deeper, that's, I think, everything. And I'm thankful that you were part of that circle for me. So
It means a lot. I'm gonna be honest, I still haven't figured out how to land this shit yet. So we're just gonna end this. Molly was exceptional, and thank you for being here.
thank you.
Cool.